Well, it is 9:01 and there is no one watching yet, so I'm just going to give it a few minutes and you can watch video of me typing on my computer. Looks like we have one person. Hello. I'm going to go ahead and give it about 2 more minutes and then I'll get started. Yes, I see you are there, Paul. Can you hear me okay? I think you should be able to reply in the chat portion. I got your message, Dana. Yeah, I think it's set up that only I can talk for now, for whatever reason, but that's fine for now. Give it one more minute here. Can you hear me okay, though? Like, is my microphone okay? All right. Well, it's about 9:06 Eastern Time. There's two people here, and it is being recorded, so I can post the link later. So I'm going to get started. If you can't hear me for whatever reason, you can just message me on GChat, or you can try to say something in the chat. Thanks, Dana. All right. So hi, I'm Chuck, and welcome to our first Hangout. I apologize for the late notice. Like I said, I had the kind of a school-related emergency come up, and I wasn't sure if I'd be able to do it or not. But I'd like to just go ahead and dive right in. Let's see. All right. So we had about 3 questions, and the first one came from J.V. Carone. I think I'm saying that right. Mentioned that he was both sore and hungry. So I'd like to talk about being sore first from working out or getting exercise. If you're used to not really getting too much exercise normally, it's perfectly fine and normal to be really sore for your first week or so as you adjust to moving around more and your body recovering from that. After the first week or two, though, the goal is not to make you sore. You should not be incredibly sore. It'll come and go. Some people just may affect people differently. After you adapt to that initial period, most of that soreness is going to come from like your connective tissue or your tendons, and so we want to make sure that you're resting well enough to recover from whatever you're doing. And I would say please check your program documents. No one should be really doing a high volume routine that would result in incredible muscle soreness after the fact. Someone mentioned in group, I think it was Paul, Tiger Balm. That is good. I use that myself when I'm really sore. Other good thing that can help is just to stretch out or move around in general, just to get your blood flowing. I'm not a big fan of cardio because I hate it, but I know that if I'm particularly sore after a workout, just going on like a stationary bike, getting the blood flowing is very helpful, and it does help recovery. So you can stretch out, get some additional movement in. And another thing is you can just go through your warm-up routine and not actually go into the full workout. Just do the warm-up, and it'll get the blood moving through your body, and that'll help you recover much quicker than if you just waited over time. So I think that covers the muscle soreness. Next up, also from J.V. Carone, who mentioned it, was that he was hungry. So the number one thing that helps with hunger is to up your protein intake. And I know that basically the next item was, how do I meet my protein intake? So we'll go into that as the third item. But I think I've mentioned to most people, either in private messages or on their document, that the protein requirements are minimum to strive for. So it's okay to go over them as long as it doesn't cause you to go over your calories. But related to that, this is pretty individualized. Some people feel more full if they eat more fat. Some people feel more full if they eat more carbs. But that's one of those things you kind of have to experiment with to see what fills you up more. Personally, my food choices kind of dictate what's going to fill me up. Like if I have like avocados, cooked with butter for my vegetables, something like that, that will fill me up more. But if I have like pasta or cereal, that just makes me hungrier regardless of the calories. But if I have like my carbs from fruit, like berries are very filling, a great choice for a snack. That really fills me up. So I'm going to suspect it's like a combination of the vitamins in them and fiber. So it really, other than upping your protein intake, your food choices, you kind of have to experiment and see if it's fattier foods that fill you up faster or more, or if it's more carbs that do so. I know some people can, if you eat air pop popcorn, you can't eat anything else. I could eat air pop popcorn and just keep eating it forever, and it doesn't really help me. So again, that's pretty individualized. In relation to that, so another thing you can do is to up your fiber intake. And take it from me, that's something you want to increase slowly. You don't want to go from hardly any fiber to a lot of fiber, because it can have the opposite effect and can actually make you sick. Personally, I eat Fiber One cereal. I mix it in with some of my Greek yogurt that I have as a bedtime snack. I also buy psyllium husks powder from Amazon. It's the same thing as Metamucil you'd find in the grocery store, but it's just the unflavored stuff without any sugar. It doesn't really add any extra calories. It's pretty disgusting. You kind of just have to drop it in some water and mix it in and drink it real fast before it turns into like a gel. But you know, that will make you feel full, and it will keep you regular as far as that goes. So in relation to fiber would be the very low-calorie green vegetables. Some of them are not green, but I'm just going to say they're green vegetables for simplicity's sake. Things like mushrooms, celery, cucumbers, asparagus, lettuce, cabbage, spinach, garlic, broccoli. For the purposes of this class, you don't really even have to track them. You don't have to eat them plain either. You know, eat them, cook them in butter, just track the butter, whatever you need to do. Some of the vegetables I used to hate until I learned about broiling, using the broiler in your oven if you have an oven. It makes them really tasty, but they don't get like soggy because I can't eat soggy vegetables myself. And also things with vegetables you can make like a soup, so something like a soup will help you stay full. And one other thing is, this is going to vary individually too, because not everyone can handle this, but if you cook and season your food with things that are spicy or hot, that can that increases your metabolism a little bit just by virtue of being hot. I think it makes it really tasty, and it can fill you up faster just by virtue of being hot or spicy. You can cook with things like curry powders, soy sauce, chili powder, instead of using oil and butter. Like today I had some chicken with it's a Cajun seasoning called hot salt, and cooked with that instead, and it was really tasty and made me feel full. Buy things like salsa picante, sriracha, and like I mentioned, the hot salt is really good. And red hot pepper flakes is always a favorite too. Again, just like the fiber, if you're not currently eating that, don't go whole hog and just start dumping it on there. You want to kind of ease your way into it, or you will regret it. And let's see here. Alright, so, yes. One last thing, and this counts as both upping your fiber and eating your vegetables, but there is a food, they're called konjac noodles, or like 0-calorie noodles. They're entirely fiber, and they're kind of a pasta replacement. I think like an entire bag is 20 calories. They're usually in the produce section. They are refrigerated, and they come in salt water, and they're flavorless. At first I was against it because when you open the package it smells awful, but that's just from the salt water they're preserved in. You have to like rinse it out, and once the salt water is rinsed away, they don't have a smell, they don't have a taste either. If you can get over that fact when you're cooking it, and you trust me, they can be a nice addition to they can be a nice addition to like a stir fry or something like that. And they do soak up the flavor of whatever you cook them in, so you can combine that with like some spices and things like that, and it's a really nice addition. And like I said, if you can just get over that initial smell when you're preparing it, I promise you it does not actually make it all the way to the plate. So, and Paul said that steaming vegetables is a great way to cook them. And grilling, yes, grilling is one of my favorite ways to make vegetables. Especially like grilled zucchini. I've even grilled like corn on the cob, and you don't really have to add too much to it, and they turn out pretty tasty. You can use whatever seasonings you have. You would put on your meat too, whatever. Excellent way to get some veggies in there. I used to be very picky when it came to vegetables, but like doing things like we said, like steaming and grilling and broiling, made me really prefer them over the way I used to be fed to them when I was a kid. Like my mom would just cook them so that they were like soggy, and she still kind of cooks that way, and I kind of avoid them when my mom cooks them. Can't tell her though. But yeah. All right, so on to the big one that the most people had questions about, was how to get your protein intake and meet your calorie goals. So in my experience, there's two different reasons why people ask about protein intake. The first is you really aren't sure what to eat to be able to meet that goal. And the second one is sometimes people that aren't used to eating a higher protein diet is that they're eating so much protein that they feel way too full, and they just don't know what to do. So if that describes you, that's a good thing, because it's better to be full now than later on, be hungry now. It's better to be full now than be hungry now, because as we progress, that may go away. It may not, but that's a good thing. So for everyone else that's saying, I have this protein goal and I'm not anywhere close, what do I do? So in the group, Klinger mentioned egg whites and protein shakes. Dana mentioned some of the things that she does, like cottage cheese, lean deli meat with cheese, and skim milk, and I think those are all great suggestions. I know we have a couple people that are lactose intolerant, so we'll touch on that briefly. And we do have some people that are vegetarians or vegans. So this advice is just kind of in general, and I believe I've addressed the people that have some dietary restrictions in your documents. If you don't feel that I've addressed it well enough, please let me know. We can go into further detail. So in regard to the egg whites and the protein shakes and the cottage cheese, so normally if I eat eggs, I will just add egg whites. Egg whites are basically only protein. If you get them in a carton, they're pasteurized, so you can just add them to a protein shake and drink them. It's safe to drink. I'm not recommending you do that because it doesn't sound good to me and probably doesn't taste very good. That brings us to protein shakes. So as I mentioned, some people are lactose intolerant or have issues with lactose. Whey protein isolate doesn't have any lactose in it. Some people that are lactose intolerant can have that, some people can't. In those cases, there are some non-dairy, vegetarian, and vegan powders. Some brands are like Vega protein powder and Sun Warrior, and I can provide you some links to that if you need it. Some people don't like drinking protein powder, but there's like an entire movement of things you can make with protein powder that's not necessarily having it in a shake. There's something that's called protein fluff, and if anyone's interested, I can give you some recipes. Basically, you just take 1 serving of protein, a little bit of milk or water or ice cubes or almond milk, and then you add usually a frozen berry. I use frozen strawberries or frozen blueberries, and you whip it in a kitchen mixer for like 5 to 10 minutes, and it becomes like fills up almost the entire bowl, and it's very filling, and it's very low calorie. I think, just ballpark, I want to say it's like under 300 calories, 20 plus grams of protein, and it's incredibly filling. And another thing is protein pancakes. You can make protein pancakes with whey and a little bit of flour and maybe like 1 egg, and it makes something like 6 pancakes. That's a great way to get protein in, especially if you love pancakes. I'm a breakfast food fanatic. I could eat breakfast foods for every single meal, and I would if I could get away with it. The only problem with breakfast foods is it's really hard to eat them with vegetables, in my opinion. But so other than protein pancakes, you could make one of my favorite foods in the entire world is French toast. So there's a recipe floating around. It's French toast made using a scoop of whey, an egg, almond milk, and that's basically it. You just whip that together and you add it to the bread and fry it up with, I think one of the fat sources in the recipe on the griddle was coconut oil. So, yes, Dana mentioned that egg whites come in powdered form too. That's an even better idea. That would be much more appetizing than trying to drink liquid egg whites in a shake. That sounds like something from Rocky. That's a good idea. And Paul mentioned that almond and soy milk are great substitutes for milk. It's good. Yeah, I switch between like skim milk and almond milk depending. I can't drink almond milk in coffee for some reason. It just gives it that weird nutty flavor to the coffee. But skim milk's okay in coffee for me, but not on almond milk. But I do buy it for other things though, and when I do make protein fluff, I will use almond milk instead of skim milk. So aside from protein powder, seafood is a great way to add in protein, and it's very low calorie. I went through everyone's initial responses again, and a lot of people said they don't like seafood. That's okay. I'm not a huge seafood fan. I make an exception for shrimp. I love shrimp for some reason. It's basically just all protein. Tuna in a can or one of the little pouches is cheap, convenient, doesn't have to be cooked. You can combine it with things like mayonnaise and make like a tuna salad sandwich. It's been mentioned as a good option. I think I may have mentioned this to someone in a PM before, is that Sam's Club and Costco have these turkey burgers from Butterball. They're pretty big. They're like 300 calories, huge burger, 30 grams of protein, and they're actually really tasty. I've had turkey burgers before that were just dry or tiny, but these are actually pretty big and juicy and tasty. And some of the beans, like black beans, are pretty good protein sources as well. And they also have fiber and kind of fill you up there. And I saved my 3 secret weapons for last, and that's Greek yogurt, beef jerky, and Quest bars. Greek yogurt, one of the things that I've discovered recently is that most grocery stores that I've been to recently have a veggie dip that's made with Greek yogurt, so the flavors are not like your breakfast yogurt flavors like strawberry, blueberry, blah, blah, blah. It's like dill and ranch, and it's low calorie, and you get a really huge serving. Use it as a vegetable dip, so those of you that dread the thought of just eating plain vegetables, because I hear you, I'm right there with you. It's a really tasty dip to eat with your vegetables. And on the subject of Greek yogurt, I think I mentioned this to Dana, is that when I go to Sam's Club, most of my bill is Dannon Light and Fit Vanilla Greek Yogurt. I eat that every night. It's delicious. I mix in, like I mentioned, Fiber One and some berries. It's very filling. It's a huge portion for the calories, and it's 20 grams of protein per serving. And beef jerky. That's a great one too. Beef jerky can be a little bit expensive compared to some of the options, but it's available everywhere, like gas stations. It's cheap, easy. You don't have to cook it. You can take it anywhere. I think it's pretty tasty. And if you have, you can get dehydrated or make your own, and it's a little more cost-effective that way. That's a great kind of snack to have as a backup. Meaning, like if you forget your lunch or something, you just have like beef jerky handy. I know I kind of keep it in my desk drawer for situations where I forgot my lunch or was extra hungry and I just need something to snack on. So I saved the best for last, and it's Quest bars. One of my biggest struggles that I still kind of struggle with is when I go to family dinner, and my mom likes to make these homemade desserts. And what I've been doing instead is taking a Quest bar with me and heating it up in the microwave, and it really tastes like the cookie dough flavor. Chocolate chip cookie dough really tastes like cookie dough or cookie. It's delicious. They're like 20 grams of protein per bar, less than 200 calories, and 15 plus grams of fiber. I tend to travel in the summer a lot, and that's like my go-to on-the-go food. That if I'm trying to make sure I have enough protein and fiber for the day, I'll throw a couple of those in my book bag. That's like my go-to snack. I kind of view them as more of like an evening snack or like a treat more than I would like a meal replacement, but I think they're great. And they actually have an entire YouTube channel that's dedicated to making like dessert items with their products that are all low calorie, high protein, high fiber. And Paul is asking if there's any sites or cookbooks that I go to for recipes. Yes. I will share them in the group tomorrow. But 3 of them offhand is Protein Pow, it's proteinpow.com, and that's all about cooking with protein powder. Epicurean BB, that is Dick Talons from Photocracy. His sister runs that, and it's focused on recipes that kind of suit a higher protein mindset, but they're more traditional foods rather than just like a meat and a vegetable. And there's a YouTube channel that is pulling it up here real quick. I forget the name offhand. Yes, The Protein Chef. His name is Derek Howells, and he cooks everything from like dessert items to regular dinner items. That's all protein focused, and they're really good recipes. Like I said, I will post those in group after this. I think that actually is everything that I had. Does anyone have any more questions? I can't. I think it looks like Paul. You have a. I can't tell if you have a question or not. It's outside of my browser. I think it's above the top of the browser. Ah, yes. Okay. So I usually grab them off of Amazon. I'm always on the lookout for coupon codes to make them cheaper. Normally, um, they're like $2 a bar. So I always look for like if GNC is having a deal, something like that, and I'll buy, a couple boxes to be able to get them lower than the $2 a bar. But if I'm out and I want them, I'll grab them. It's like $24.99 with Prime for a box of 12. Like I said, my favorite flavors are the chocolate chip cookie dough. There's like a double chocolate chunk. They have some I love peanut butter. They have some peanut butter flavors, but some of their older flavors have like a protein bar taste. I don't mind it. I know people that really don't like it, so it's kind of if you're into that. But yeah, I usually buy mine off of Amazon, or if like GNC has a deal going on, I'll get them from there. All right. Paul said he doesn't have any more questions. Dana, do you have any more? Yes, I have tried peanut butter too, and I love it. I I hadn't been keeping it in the house because my daughter and son both had peanut allergies, but they've actually both been cleared. So now all the peanut butter based foods are starting to find their way back into my cupboard. So yeah, the powdered stuff. Yeah, I have that too. Yeah, I have don't normally eat peanut butter because it's harder for me to stop eating it. But yes, peanut butter too. I've actually mixed that into the Dannon vanilla Greek yogurt too, and that actually is pretty tasty as well. And from what I understand, you can actually just mix water in with it. I've never tried this, but it just basically makes it like a peanut paste. All right. Well, I can't believe I've been talking for half an hour. All right. Well, I think that should do it for our first hangout. As always, if you guys have any questions, please post them in the group. You can always private message me if you're not comfortable with your specific question. And if you have any feedback for the hangout, things you think I should do differently for the next one, I'd love to hear it. So you guys have a great night, and I'll be talking to you guys soon. Thank you.